Hey, Boss Lady, welcome to another episode of the show, The Boss Lady, a circle for women in business who mean business. My name is Ndero Ganga. I am your host today, and we're having a phenomenal guest on the show. Her name is Blandine Umuziranenge. Now, there's this thing about women's menstrual health and how it has been considered a taboo for long. There's been a veil of secrecy and it's shrouded with shame. But women like her, particularly a trailblazer like her, says that has to stop. And she's dedicated her life the last decade to doing exactly that. Her resume, impeccable. She is the founder and CEO of Cosmotive. And over the last decade, she has committed her life's work to ensuring that women's and girls' reproductive health is top of mind in rooms that matter with decision makers and financiers. She's a trailblazer in menstrual health field in Rwanda and also in Africa. Her company Cosmotive makes affordable yet recyclable sanitary towels for girls in schools and women from underprivileged background. She, take a listen to this, is a Yali Fellow and also has graced global stages to champion this worthy cause. Blandine, thank you for making time.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Good way.
For our viewers who don't know you, let me tell you something about Blandine. Her hair game is always on point. Beautiful black afro hair. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so
We are
much.
so excited to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And congratulations on 10 years of Cosmotive. Just the other day in December, we were celebrating the company hitting 10 years. And that's a very monumental moment, if you ask me. So I want to start there. What did it mean for you for Cosmotive to hit 10 years?
First thing, I like the 10 years has been like really a journey and a good one for me. And 10 years, I didn't imagine them. I didn't imagine where we would be. Even the way I pictured it in 2014 was so different from what it was last year. But what has been really big for me is looking back and looking how Cosmotive has been kind of like a product of a community. Because in each project I have been like launching with Cosmotive, it was like someone helping, someone endorsing us. It was really like the work of a community, different people helping us, and seeing how by connecting with like the beneficiaries or anyone who receive our service, it gives us more courage to keep doing. So I think that's what I had like mostly in the event and looking back on our journey, going back to how I started launching the Cosmos magazine again, because that's how I started in the beginning, and also like just like being grateful for everything that has been happening for 10 years.
I want you to take me back to 2014. And you're thinking of putting together Cosmos magazine, which evolves into Cosmotive, the company that you run now. What necessitated it? What gaps were you seeing in the market? And you said, let me create this product.
2014, starting, it's good to be in this area. I was graduating from Mount Kenya University. And my background was mainly in IT, experience being an IT on radio, a private radio, national TV, radio. So it was like everything there. And in MKU, I was doing business and ICT. So I had IT, I had background with media people and business now. And looking at what I wanted was really to improve health. But with everything I had, I wasn't seeing where. So I wanted to use information. That was the easiest thing I could do. I was able to create my website. I had friends who could write articles, stories, everything. So it was using the power of what I had, information and technology, to improve health. And personally, I wanted to just like to equip parents to have better, how may I call this? Like healthier babies, whether it's like practical or psychological ways of raising them. So that's how I started. Cosmos magazine was mainly for better parenting, like for the benefit of babies, growing into healthier like babies. And as I was growing, that's when I started now looking at, let's see how to create impact, but make something that is sustainable. That's how we ended up with Cosmopads.
And talk to me about Cosmopads, because you're talking about impact and sustainability. But when you look at menstrual health in Rwanda, how was it 10 years ago, and what problem were you trying to solve with Cosmopads?
So, like 10 years ago when I started, that was the time, even like globally, the movement for like menstrual hygiene day, that's when it was started. It was really like a taboo. Not talking about it. Now people are starting to raise awareness about why this is like a woman's right, not like a privilege, having sanitary pads. And going with that, for me, I was more into like creating awareness about women's health issues. In 2016 in Rwanda, we had a research showing that we have 18% of the girls and women who are missing work or school because they can't afford to buy menstrual products. And for me, 2017, I was writing. It was a personal story, a time that I didn't have pads. And from there, that's when I learned about now the situation with other girls from the research and like in the previous year. And like personally, when I started, I remember even my friends, we could meet. They're like, "Oh, Blandine, are you having your periods?" Because I kept writing about now periods, for the whole year. And at the end of the year, I was wondering what's happening with like the girls now in primary school. If like the university people could look at me, remember the article I wrote, and they're like, "Are you having your periods?" What's happening with them? Are they able even to talk? Or if someone wants the pads, if they can't even say that they have their periods, what's happening there? And like that's the time I was like, talking about this for the whole year, nothing changed. At least let me come in and see if I can bridge the gap and bring something. Even if I don't get to all the 2 million girls who end up like staying home when they are menstruating, at least the number we give, we get to the other number, or they will be able to talk about it.
And you've given me really, really, really specific and heavy numbers. The number of girls that are staying at home, at least 2 million every year, missing school because they don't have access to sanitary towels, which is it's a natural process for women. You cannot skip it. There's nothing you can do about it. So that means that they're losing out on a lot of academic time that they get. There's also another challenge that you mentioned where just access in general across the country is really, really low, and you came in and you were trying to fill that gap. I want to understand, how then did you start building the company, and just the basics? What did you need? Who did you put in place? What did the research look like? So take us back there.
Like 2014, like starting, it was mainly it was Cosmos magazine. I was on IT. I was able to create the website. My friends were able to write the articles, and like for me, the easiest thing was to go through like programs, whether programs or reaching out to like new people, because all the things I have been getting was through like.
Okay, we'll take that question again. Clearly you're distracted. Okay, I'll just ask the question again, okay?
Okay.
Take from the question. Sorry, Jessie. So, Blandine, you've really laid great context for us. The number of girls that are missing school because they don't have access to sanitary towels. And this is not just reduced to girls in school. It's also women who are from underprivileged backgrounds that do not have access to sanitary towels. And this is a natural process that women go through every month, and there's nothing they can do about it. So you come up with this brilliant idea to create Cosmopads, which are reusable, recyclable, and also affordable. How did that come about? And what did you need? I just want to find out, like, what did it take to now build the company that you have today? What was the starting point?
So like starting, I can start with like the Cosmos magazine, because that's what I started with. That time it was because for me personally, I could create the website. My friends could write articles. I could just leverage different programs to get like networks. So that was the starting. And as I was leveraging, starting with no capital, you end up learning everything you have to do. So like part of learning everything I need to get where I went, I had to learn about creative writing. And through that program, that's when I wrote about period poverty. And as like my mentor was like helping me to make a better story, to create like a better article, that's when I had to write about the situation in the country. And there, when I wanted to make now these paths, it was back to having the networks. For me, I was always leveraging networks to get like the information, because I didn't have that much money to make like to put into research or anything. It was more about like which networks are doing this, who can I connect with to get to this. And like for the whole year, it was mainly like trying to take everything together and combining things, going to learning something, but also looking into materials. And at the end, what can I say? Like, there's a time I wanted to even give up, but every time my mentor was telling me, remember, like, what will happen if you're not doing anything about the problem we wanted to solve. And I could feel like it's haunting me. If I sleep and I'm good, and I remember that, oh, another girl can miss school because of this. And I thought every time when I connect with the problem, I can get the solution in one way or another. And it was easier to use the materials, like the fabrics, because I was already into information, but I was already making other clothing. So with the material, it was easier. I didn't need any chemical thing or any testing or anything. It was the easier thing to use, but also kind of validating that information from other developed countries, now going into the reusable products, now like not liking the chemicals, because for me starting, it wasn't about chemicals or allergies or anything. It was about the prices. So it was good to see like I can just use something that doesn't require any other knowledge, like chemical or any other testing, and it will be cost effective, and it will be good for the environment, and also good for the people who get allergies on chemicals. Those things I learned them on the way. Like for me starting, it was about bringing something that is really cheaper or affordable or cost effective for those who can't afford. But like as we go, because starting that was like the 18% missing school, it was really hitting me. But like COVID came, and when it came, we saw like they closed schools and they were our targets. And that's the time we're like, oh, actually, let's see if other people can use them. And we found out that so many people were coming saying, actually, I'm allergic to chemicals in the disposable pads, or they will be like, on other pads that we use 2 at the same time, I can't use like 1. So we started now finding out actually that other people who have money, but they have issues with the products. So we ended up having different users. And for the girls, it wasn't still that easy. Our pads are like, they save 8% of the money that you should spend on disposable pad. But the people on the bottom of the pyramid, sometimes they can't even afford that. So they end up buying like pieces, or buying and paying in installments, all in like easier cases. I won't call it better, just like better. Some NGOs or initiatives buy for them, and they can buy for them something that can last for years now. So it's really been about like looking at what's there, leveraging the opportunity there. And I think also luck played a big part for me. So also luck and just being able to find those information and resources, and the like a good community to support.
You've mentioned really interesting things that I want to pick on. First of all, you said your products are affordable, and they serve a bigger demographic. Just outside of those that are looking for cost efficient products, they also serve people who have allergic reactions or haven't had the best experience in using manufactured sanitary towels as we know them. So I want you to take me to product composition. What are your sanitary towels made of? How do you make them? And maybe how much does it cost you as a business to make them?
So our pads are made of fabrics, like mainly like fabrics, but specific fabrics for they're like different layers. First layer for like being like breathable and soft on the skin, but able to absorb at least a certain amount. And we put another layer. Different, we can put like different layer depending on the firm, but that one is specifically for absorbency. And after that, though they can work, we also add another waterproof layer, so that in case, let's say it's full when you were still on the way, you get that like that security from that time to when you have to change. So we put those like three different materials, and after those three to attach it on the underwear, we put how may I call this? It's snaps, but specifically for the pads, so that doesn't even bother someone. So we put the polyethylene snaps. And I think it's mainly that. The other things are about packaging. Like for the people in rural areas, we found out that most of them, they won't even have like those proper ways to hang their clothes. So they will go on a community, a borehole, they will wash, they dry them down. So we add like a drying strap for if there is a tree somewhere they are washing, they can just attach the strap, put on the tree, do their thing, but they don't dry their sanitary pads on the ground. It's mainly that we manufacture them here in Kigali, in Chimirongo, and we have different prices. When it's the end user, we get a margin of 40%. When it's so that means like we sell it at 6,000. So on that we get a 40%. And when it's NGOs going to distribute or other people giving them as in charity, we give them a 1,000 discount. And for us, we take a 25% margin. And when it's our resellers, the people who we pick them, resell them, for them we take 20% margin.
And when I came to your 10-year anniversary, they were showing me the different pads. For listeners who might not know what the packet looks like, how many sanitary towels are in there, what are the varieties that you have, and also how do you use it?
We get like, when we started, it was more, like most of the time we see the other pads we think the size is that, because that's the first thing I knew. Pads we buy, that's it. So when we came, we made like the size that is working for normal and heavy froze. And after that, we got like people who would come, they'd be like, even for the other pads, I cut them. They are big for me. So we started now making a smaller size on the other one for light fur. And after that, we got people who were like actually on other pads. I used two at the same time. So now we made a larger size for like super heavy fur. And after that, we got some people who came to us. They were like, like every day I use panty liners. And using panty liners every day, it's expensive, and some of them they cause rashes, or they tell us that they are not good to use every day. Now we started making panty liners. Now we have 4 different sizes used in different ways, but there are also other people who we buy a package for the normal fur, and we also buy, let's say, 1 or 2 for super heavy fur, because on their second day it's really heavy. So we get like, for us, what we offer to our customers is that customizations. You can be like, for me, I need 3 of like normal fur or like regular fur, but I also get some heavy days, so I also need a different thing. But the standard package that we give, if we don't know your fur, is the package that works for normal and heavy fur, and it's a package of 5, and it's the one that can go up even to 2 years. It's like just 120 washes as you use that pad. So with the 5, the way we count it, it's like, if you go, let's say, school, because that's our personnel. So if you go to school, you go with 1, you wearing 1, and during the break, you change it, you wear a second one. In our package, we put a white bag to carry the one you remove. And when you come back home, you can wash the two and you wear the third. So if in the morning the other two are not fully dry, you have like the other two remaining in the package. So it's like the 5 for anyone with really like normal fro, it can work for them. So that's mainly what we put there. And we make sure that we put like the wet bag to carry the used pad. We put that drying strap to help in hanging them, and we also put a manual guide that has like pictures and everything on how to use, how to clean. And we offer people who want to return them, and we can give them discount because we clean them and shrink them to dispose them properly.
I want to know, when you introduce this product, because for a long time we've always known sanitary towels look like this, feel like this, you buy, you use, you dispose. What was the market reception when you introduced the product, and how has that perception changed over the years?
The first thing, like, you know, because I think like the first thing that came in mind when people brought like the washable pads, I don't know who brought the idea about those pads for poor. Like in the beginning, you start talking about, we make reusable pads, and they're like, oh, those pads for poor. I'm like, geez, I didn't say for poor. It's just like, let me explain the product. Or someone, you start talking about it, they'll be like, no, I have money. I'm like, no, I didn't talk about money, because it can be this. So in the beginning, it was more about the face that was put on those pads, because you could come, you would find out that they know some stories on the pad. But what made it easier for us was when it's like, let's say a friend uses it because they're helping, but actually they find out that it's different from the disposable pads they use. For them, it wasn't about the issue with the money. Now they come back with a different story, and they will tell that story. That has been helping, having someone who doesn't associate with the poor, and they use it and they talk about something better on that thing. Or someone who has been able to use all the other products for their periods, and now this time they are talking about how different it is from the others. It's still like people, we still have like their conception. Someone will be like, I can't wash, and on that person we can't argue. If you can't wash, you can't wash. But for someone who doesn't have an alternative, for them, you know, they can say I can't wash, because even now they either use something that is irritating them, or they wash. So for them, it's been really like, they always receive it well. But when it comes to like the money or anything, that's where now they start asking about, let me take a piece, which wasn't ideal for us when we started to make packaging. Or they will be like, if you want me to take the whole package, I will pay in installment. And sometimes we are not in that place, and we were there for marketing. So it's been like, for those who really want them and don't feel any issue with it, it will be about like, let me, the way to pay for this is not that easy for me. And for the ones who don't have any issue with the money, for them, because they have alternatives, sometimes they will be like, no, I can't wash because me and blood, no. Someone will be like, no, I just like, I can't find time to do this. Or they just still have the idea about like there's a smell. Every time I would just tell someone, there's that smell that I thought it's related to period, and actually it was related to period on the disposable pad. Because most of the people, they would just like, they would be like, that thing, I can't wash it. But until they just get like a reusable one, and they will come back and they'll be like, oh, it's different. Because like, for us, we don't know that's actually something mixed with chemicals. So it's still like, I think when I started, coming from like a science background, I thought if there is an issue, you get a solution, it's done. Until I brought a product, I found out that actually it's not done. There's a lot of things about mindset and like preaching about something. Even if they understand, they will tell you, yes, I understand, but I don't want to use it. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. But like, it's a lot about like mindset, and also having like people they associate with to be the one talking about it.
Yeah. It's like your customers are your biggest advertiser. They go out there once they've experienced your product and the advantages that come with it. Then they become your mouthpiece and they tell everybody how great and fantastic your product is. I also want to briefly touch on access, bridging that gap of access. You mentioned it very briefly. You said a big part of your audience is girls who go to school, or your target market is the girls who go to school. So how do you ensure that they have access to these sanitary towels? You had mentioned partnerships with NGOs and probably well-wishers and pledges. Could you talk to us about that?
For us, ideally, is just being able to be in all convenient places and people be able to buy for themselves, because when we look at the impact, it's the most impactful. They are able to talk about it as they own it. It's so different from when we just donate. When you donate, every time they will be thankful. Like for us, we want to improve on the work we do or the products. They will be thankful, nothing else. So like in everything we do, we try to see how we can make it affordable for everyone. Whether it's affordable in a normal way of speaking or a different model. That's what we go with. So we work with resellers in different areas. We've introduced our branded like kiosks to make them accessible to them, but also to make it normal to like people knowing this place is pads. They don't have to hide anything. It's just for pads.
Yeah.
If you're there, someone will know you misread.
You know, in Kenya, when you're going to buy sanitary towels, and Josefa, our producer, has lived in Kenya, she'll tell you, they wrap it in a newspaper. To hide it so that nobody knows you're buying sanitary towels.
That's the thing that was like, yes, we work with resellers. Yes, we can put them in supermarkets, but we still want something that will break. That's like, why are you hiding? Like, they will just wrap it. So by the time you're at our kiosk, everyone will know it's for pads. No one is wrapping nothing. So we wanted to also keep that, just to break the stigma, like keep the conversation going. But also, we can't forget that we still have those people who can't afford. If someone is still struggling with food, if someone can't eat like enough a day, so they are still like struggling, they don't have to wait pads food. So we work with NGOs, initiatives, other people, even corporate when they have like in their CSR projects. So we work with them and they just give a certain amount. For us, what we do, we check either through the district, like the district leaders, they will give us schools that they know are struggling the most, or we can just pick a community. Sometimes like some people we buy and they will be like, it's this area because we normally work in this area. So we go and like what we do is just like starting with those who really struggle, those who can't afford, or those who miss school if it's in their periods. So we get them. If it's a big number of girls, we make sure that we go with them. We give a session. We understand what they know about their menstruation, because sometimes they don't even know when periods come and go. Sometimes you find out that someone might miss school, not because they didn't have a pad or like a piece of cloth to use. They didn't even know. Are they coming every day? I don't know. Are they coming after a month? For them, they call it a month. We ask, like, if you get your periods on the 5th, when is the next time? It's like the 5th, next month. Because it's like, in Rwanda, it's like the cycle is translated kind of like a month. So for them, it's like a month. So even like knowing, like, are they aware of everything of their cycle? What happens? What are the stages? Everything. Just like, after like giving the information, they can have a product and they'll be confident about how to use it and everything. So we give a session and distribute, and if they are okay, they give us their contacts so that we can also check on them how the products are working. And if they want, after years, we can recycle them.
Yeah. My last question to you before we let you go, because this has been like a really enlightening session. It's really important to understand, particularly the landscape of menstrual health in this country, where you've come from, where you are, and the goals that you have. But what has been the kind of impact that you've been able to have through Cosmopads? How have you seen the life of women and girls transform through this initiative that you have?
So when I start, I think like the easier to understand is the number of girls who got access to them. So we've been able to reach more than 300,000 girls. And that's the one that is maybe easier to understand, because for them, we go back, they'll be like, now I can go to school. Now I'm like confident. I know my cycle, I can go. I know having periods is normal, like on both sides. Having the product, yes, but also the confidence, because at the end of the day, something can happen and either they can just forget and they don't have the pads and they leak, and they can have like the same people bullying. So like we equip them on both sides. Yes, get the product, but if the other side, because this is all new, the other person who will bully you, we don't have access to them. So if they still bully you, how do you stand confident? How do you face that? How do you get back to them, knowing that your periods is normal, this is just something normal, and embracing your womanhood through this? That's one thing that we do. But influencing mindset is something that like so far, that's what I learned in 10 years, that having like the solution is not enough until you're able to really like convince people. So we've been like talking. We found out that actually there are some people who don't relate to you coming and telling them that there is an issue and you have like the solution. We started working with like artists into like this conversation thing. And we've got really like big number of people who love to like maybe to relate to the poetic way someone is talking about the issue, and someone we now just like kind of being converted because of the way the message was brought. So we worked with like poets, we worked with different artists, and that's one side. I have another side that I'd like, for me starting, I could just like import the pads from China and sell them. That could be like, if it's about pads, I could do that. But when I started, the way like people were reacting to me for my articles and everything, I felt like it would be boring if I'm one person talking about period poverty the whole time and giving the products. I wanted to be with the other women. It will be a different story. For me, maybe I can come, I talk about it. Maybe the person doesn't relate to me, they won't understand. But the girls, the women we work with, some of them faced the same thing. Some of them dropped out because of the same issue. So for them, when they go back home, and for them, the whole thing, they will be talking about, what do you do? I make pads. So now they change the way they look at periods. For them, that's where they get money, though they had issues with it. So like flipping the way girls and women are looking into like period. Yes, the cramps are there and they will always be there. But what do we see behind that or beyond that? Just like having those other women or girls now looking at periods as something, source of their pride, source of their power. Like for me, it's really been like not bigger than the ones who attend school, but also bigger because for them, they also have a different story and they combat other people about it.
Before I let you go, you do really important work. You've mentioned 300,000 girls and counting have been able to stay in school. Women are working for Cosmopads and they're able to put food on the table and also change their relationship with their menses after it had caused them so much pain. How can people help? How can people chime in? How can people donate to keep this good work going?
So like they can either do it through our website or call. Mm-hmm. I can share all the contacts.
Please go ahead.
Also, our website is cosmotive.rw, cosmotive starting with a K. And we also, we have like that cosmotive.rw, we have cosmopeds.rw, and on the side of the information, we have the cosmohealth.rw. That's where we give most of the information when we get like there are questions as we are interacting with the girls. But anything on our website, the cosmotive.rw is there. They can like donate directly or even call. Even all the contacts are there. And anyone, anywhere they call, they choose to donate. It's either you want to donate to a certain community, we just distribute to that community, or you want us to bring them to your office or place so that you distribute yourself, we do it. Or you have a specific demographic you want, girls in school or teen moms or girls in the community or women in the community, we do any of that. And also different packaging. So I think like in any way, and on our side, anyone who wants to donate, we just give by default that 1,000 discount, because we really want like people to be part of this.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for the amazing work that you do. Having 300,000 girls and counting in school is not a mean feat. Creating employment for women, dignified employment for women, is not a mean feat. And also choosing to do it in your home country, because you said you could have just imported it from China or any other place in the world. But choosing to build this business in your country, irrespective of the challenges that come with running a business, that's really, really commendable. You know, where I come from, they say if you educate a girl, you've educated the community. And you're doing really pertinent work in ensuring that girls stay in school. And for that, we are so lucky and we're so grateful that women like you exist out there. And it is our hope that Cosmopads continues to grow. It's our hope that people continue to donate. And it's our hope that girls continue staying in school, courtesy of Cosmopads.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again next time. You can get this anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify podcast, or Apple podcast, or you can listen to it on radio via Royal FM.